picked Oakland. Coach picked Oakland. And Mark picked. I'm sorry. We have both had San Francisco. And
I should have just let it go.
Okay.
I should have touched that one.
Atlanta beat Washington. I just don't believe in Washington.
That was a dumb pick by me. That was a dumb pick. I mean, Alex Smith. It's the epitome of Alex Smith. The dude just can't score points. You got. I don't know why I thought that the ground game and Adrian Peterson and being in a sloppy grass field would do anything, but Atlanta just puts up points.
Okay. We need to do drug testing on the on this podcast because, Coach, you picked the Bills to beat the Bears.
I had to try to go against the grain to try to maybe get a leg up here. Somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it was a close game. Bears won 41-9.
It was almost as bad as.
Listen, I did bet the over on this and hit, so I'm fine with that.
Almost as bad as me changing my Oakland.
There you go.
Okay, see, come on.
Yeah,
that's about as bad.
It's about the same.
Chiefs beat the Browns. There was a big shocker. 98% of the nation picked the Chiefs.
2% were family members of current.
2%, yeah. 2%.
One was Nick Chubb. The other was Hugh Jackson before he got fired.
Right. Hugh Jackson put in that pick before he got fired. Vikings beat the Lions. What happened to the Lions? Man.
Yeah, Lions really are disappointing at this point.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, I think
they're what they are.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, exactly.
Average team.
They're good against some bad defenses, but against good defenses, they really don't do much.
Maybe the Vikings are going to turn it on here.
Could be.
Yeah.
I was the dummy that picked the Jets over the Dolphins. That wasn't smart.
There's a lot of crap games this week.
There were.
And very lopsided games.
We all picked the Steelers because we're good people. Carolina beat Tampa 42-28. Yeah, I'm a little scared.
The one good thing about that game is Tampa was able to ring up 28 on a decent defense. So looking for Thursday.
Yeah.
That could be a good sign possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be potentially one of the better games of the season.
Definitely.
How weird is it? Oh, we're Saints going in victory formation.
Yeah.
Go. Ice it. Houston beat Denver 19-17. But I just think it's funny that Denver trades Demaryius Thomas that they're about to play. That's just kind of odd.
That's kind of like Jacksonville signing Landry Jones, and we're about to play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I guess whoever you're going to get the best deal from, or I guess they really didn't care. Denver's not going anywhere this year.
Yeah.
Yep. The Chargers beat Seattle. Both of you had Seattle, and I had the Chargers. So.
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, come on.
Come on, Seattle. What's going on?
Yeah, and in Seattle, remember when it was like almost impossible to win in Seattle, and now.
Oh man, Marshawn Lynch was running people over. I mean, it was that.
Who's the cornerback? Richard Sherman was committing pass interference on every play, but not getting called for it. It was a beautiful time.
Now here's my question. They said John Harbaugh's job is on the line. I mean, what about Carroll?
Carroll, yeah. You start to wonder.
I don't know. That's a good question. I kind of doubt it. I've never heard of it. I
haven't heard his name mentioned as much as Harbaugh's, but I don't know how many years it's been. Did Seattle even make the playoffs last year? Or the year before? I don't remember if the last couple years, but I know Baltimore's missed it, 3 or 4 in a row now?
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to miss it this year again because
that's going to be tough now. Yeah, I don't think they're going to lose one more game the rest of the year. Just one more game. I mean, they're going to.
Yeah, I mean, this division's only getting one playoff representative in, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wait, the Seattle's 4-4, so they're not that bad.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, losing at home to the Chargers though, that's pretty brutal.
Yep.
Listen, I said on this podcast before, I believe, I want to say around week 2 or week 3, that was when the Chargers were going to maybe get on a run here and make a little noise. And, man, what are they, 6-2 now? 5-2?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I think they were 5-2 coming in. I think they're 6.
Maybe this is going to be one of those, Philip. Maybe this is going to be the final duel of Rivers versus Roethlisberger, and somebody knocks out Brady before that.
Possibly.
We'll see. Yeah, and then the Saints just beat the Rams, which I had the Rams, and both of you had the Saints, so you got one there. All right, guys. I don't know when we'll talk this week. Maybe Wednesday. We'll see.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
This whole Thursday thing has me thrown up, but yeah, I imagine Wednesday should still be okay.
We can do a little preview of the Carolina Steelers game, I guess.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, guys. Have a good rest of the night and week, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, now to talk about what's going on with the Penguins. I have Nick Vucic. He is a writer for Pens Labyrinth, which is part of Fansided. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, great. Thanks for inviting me on. I'm glad to rant about the Penguins.
Yeah. We need to talk. Oh, my goodness. All right. So just to recap the past week or two, they go to Canada and look like they could beat the world. Then they come back, and the last 3 games look absolutely almost awful the whole time. What happened?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I always go after team defense. Their team defense, some games, is non-existent and just horrifying to try and watch, especially on the rush. They just get beat up and down the ice sometimes. And, they're a fast team, but they put so much pressure forward. It's like they get stuck back, and then every time the other team seems to take advantage of those 5 or 6 mistakes they make, and that's the game. I mean, the Islanders beat them up and down the ice that first game like that.
Yeah, it's almost that simple. It's basically when the Penguins want to play their game, they're very hard to beat. But when they don't feel like it, like the past few games, they really don't have a chance.
It's and I know it's early in the season, when we're barely into November at this point. It just seems like they know they have that switch, and they just hit it when they want it. And it's like they went out to Western Canada, and it was like, yeah, we're not playing these guys here often. Let's turn it on. And then as soon as they got back to do the home and home with the Islanders, switch was off. And I have no idea what was happening with that Maple Leafs game.
Here's what I think. I think you're exactly right, and there is a switch. And I think that first game against Toronto, they got tired of hearing how great the Maple Leafs are. Especially Toronto is like, it's almost like a baseball team in New York or a football team in New York or anything like that. It gets overhyped to death. And once they got Tavares, it's like, oh, well, why even play the season? Just hand the Stanley Cup to the Maple Leafs. That's it. There's no contest. And I think they got so tired of hearing that they just decided, we're just going to shut them down, and we're going to show them that we're still pretty good. And maybe the same thing with Edmonton. How many times they've heard, well, Crosby's no longer the best player in the league. Now it's McDavid, and Crosby said, "Oh, I'll show you about that." So I think there is. It's like when they want to play, they're very hard to beat, but when they don't feel like it, forget about it.
I mean, I get it. I guess it would be really hard as a player. Some days it's hard. Every Monday it's hard to go into work, right?
Yeah.
It's got to feel the same way to play the Islanders in a late October, early November game, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna see these guys like what 3 more times. If we get a point or two, no harm, no foul. We don't really need to try. We don't really need to give it our all. And I'm not saying they go out there and intentionally try to lose. That's obviously it's just they just don't get up for it in the same way. They're just not antsy to get on the ice. And I mean, look at the response to Murray getting run yesterday. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, how often did Fleury get run? But there was always somebody there ready to rip somebody's head off. Well, most of the time. But it was just like, it was incredible. There's no jump. There's no energy. And it's I hope it's part of the early season kind of funk. But, they're still getting points. So I guess we can't be too critical yet until they start a nosedive. But there's definitely some things that have been extremely concerning, and I don't think it's a surprise to talk about my favorite point of contention, and that's Jack Johnson.
I was just going to bring him up, so I'm guessing you're not a fan.
That would be putting it nice. I think Jack Johnson will go down as one of the worst moves the Penguins have made as a franchise in probably the last 2 decades. And I say that as somebody who's been there through, the Morozov years and the Tarnstrom years and the Toby Peterson years.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of what the Penguins have been capable of in the past when it comes to bad transactions. But giving out a 5-year contract to somebody who is beyond lost every time he steps out onto the ice, I've never seen a hockey player so lost on the ice as him. It's frankly impressive.
It's yeah. There have been times where he has just looked not good at all, and wow, yeah. I've never heard of a player coming in that got so much pushback from the fans, like basically saying, "What are you doing getting this guy?" And right now they've been justified in their criticism because it's not working out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it's one thing if they give him a 1-year deal or even a 2-year deal as a veteran, but that 5 years, especially at that cost, it's not like he wasn't a known quantity. This isn't, a 25-year-old former first-round draft pick who just didn't work out in his first go-around. He's been around the league. He hasn't worked out anywhere. And especially towards the end of his time with Columbus, he was a burden more than a value. And, it's painful to agree with Torts on anything.
Yeah.
But Torts was on it, and I think that's going to be an issue for the Penguins because, I don't know Mike Sullivan personally, but based on everything I've heard, he's not exactly a guy who gives up on anything easily, and I have a hard time believing he's going to give up on Johnson after what Torts said about, after the throwdown they had when they signed Johnson. So it's a problem the Penguins are going to be stuck with this season, and it's just going to keep costing goals. It really is. It's every time he steps on the ice, he looks like what Brooks Orpik